Five, four, three, and we are recording. So welcome everybody. My name is Colin Thompson. I want to welcome you to our April edition of our Shanghai Life Coaching Collective monthly coaching workshop webinar. And I call it a workshop webinar because in each webinar, we try to make sure that we are learning something. And more importantly, we ask coaches to come back, to give back and teach. Tonight we have Luba Diasamidze. Did I say that correctly?
It's Luba Diasamidze.
Yes. Joining us. Thank you. I had trouble with that name. Joining us. And she has a wonderful lesson she's going to provide. And I'll speak more on that in a moment. So for our agenda, we have a very, very basic agenda. I'm going to spend a few moments talking about who we are, what is the Shanghai Life Coaching Collective, and then we're going to dive into the lesson. We like spending the vast majority of time during these calls in that lesson mode. I'm then going to give a brief update on COVID Coaches, which is an initiative a lot of life coaches here in Shanghai, in Brazil, Europe, and US have banded together to do, and then information on how to contact and join the Shanghai Life Coaching Collective. So as we go through this, if you have any questions, either put a comment in. I think you have the function to raise your hand, or just say, I have a question, and we'll take a pause and we'll answer your question here. So the Shanghai Life Coaching Collective was I say, birthed or born, I would say March of 2018. Now, although we had our first event in June of March of 2019, although we had our first event in June of 2019, I completed my certification course last March, and I instantly felt a loss of, I want to say, companionship with the coaches who I went through the course with. During the course, as many of you guys know, you do form a bond with your fellow aspiring coaches, and I was really looking for another platform or another group where we could learn from each other, support each other, and teach each other, regardless of how new or young or experienced we were. As a life coach, we all have something that we can teach, and we always have something that we can learn. So in the absence of that here in Shanghai, although there are other coaching groups here in Shanghai, I decided last year, back in March, to form a collective. It's very interesting. I named it Shanghai Life Coaching Collective, although half of our members are not in Shanghai, but that shows you the eagerness that life coaches are to really help each other and come together for a good cause. So our mission is very basic: actively teach, learn, and support member coaches while promoting life coaching. One of the things that we like to say, at this point, fellow life coaches are not our competitors, right? We have to band together and really help promote life coaching. A lot of people, believe it or not, don't know what life coaching is. So right now, as opposed to trying to compete for clients, we need to make sure that we are promoting life coaching and making sure potential clients, people have a proper understanding of what life coaching is. So our member coaches, are aspiring, new or experienced life coaches. We want coaches from all walks that have different levels of experience. They're eager to support other life coaches. We call this giving back. Eager to learn from other life coaches. We call this having your eyes open, having your ears open, and actively promoting life coaching. We call this having your mouth open, talking about life coaching, talking about the benefits of life coaching. And we really focus our lessons, you can say, in two areas. The first one is business. We all know that most of the training, most of the life coaching training really trains you on how to support clients, how to coach, the act of coaching. We also see that there is a gap between what we're taught about coaching and about building a business. A lot of times as life coaches, we want to focus our energy on being a sufficient and being able to help people solve their problems, but we don't put enough focus on the business. So in our collective, we want to make sure that we're sharing lessons on not just how to coach, but also how to build a business, and a business that consistently obtains clients. As most of you know, one of the biggest challenges for life coaches is being able to get consistent clients. Anybody can get 1 or 2 clients here and there. That's not difficult to do. But how do you get consistent clients that allows you to build a business? And of course here, coaching, number 2, we want to be able to help coaches develop the skills to solve clients' problems. That's our mission, guys, right? Help build a business that consistently obtains clients and develop the skills to solve clients' problems. Very simple. Okay, so again, we're going to dive into today's lesson. We have Coach Luba here, and I got to say that this is a very exciting topic. And Luba, I want to thank you for stepping up, answering my call when I asked you to do this, because I recall, if I go back, I would say about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I first got into coaching. Like a lot of coaches, I was always used to giving advice. I was very, I was very, very good at giving advice, and quite frankly, I thought I gave good advice. What I learned though is while people are talking to me, I already have the advice in my head. I had to learn that part of being a good coach is, 1, of course, not giving advice, but 2, really understanding and learning how to listen. So today we're going to have a valuable lesson from Coach Luba on how to do active listening in coaching. So Luba, before you jump in, please do an introduction and then give us a great lesson today.
Thank you so much, Colin. Is that okay if I use my PowerPoint?
Yep, I just stopped the share, so you can go ahead and
Lovely.
share.
Okay. In the meantime, guys, that would be really great to know more about you. So if you could send us a brief intro in the chat, where you are with your coaching, whether you are certified or not certified yet, you know, how long you've been into coaching. And please, if you're not speaking, keep yourself muted, as we have quite a few people on the call and there are some background noises. Thank you.
Okay, so how long have we been coaching and whether or not we're certified, correct?
Yes, so we'll spend about 45 minutes for discussing active listening as a coaching competency. And then we'll do a short demo with a volunteer. So we'll have about 15 minutes for a demo. So there'll be quite a small coaching topic. If you have a question you'd like to work on together as my partner in this coaching conversation, just park it for a while and keep it until 45 minutes later. And there we go. All right. So a brief intro about me. I am a professional coach, an ICF member. So basically everything I'm going to tell you about active listening skills today is from the ICF perspective. It's related to ICF core coaching competency of active listening. And we'll also take a look at this competency and how you can demonstrate active coaching skills in a conversation. My coaching company, Upton Coaching, is based in Guangzhou, and I also provide ICF accredited coach training programs in face-to-face in Guangzhou and online. Okay, so we wanted to focus on active listening today because listening is so common and so simple, but it's never easy. It's definitely not. And I like this quote because I think it's related to coaching so much. It requires attention over talent, which basically means even if you're a new coach, don't worry about being less capable than more experienced coaches. You can actually be pretty good at active listening if you demonstrate sufficient attention, spirit over ego, because coaching is not about a coach, but it's about the client and others over self. So I think we can all keep this in mind. Okay. All right, so there are 3 levels of listening. There are different theories about levels of listening. Say in the program that I deliver in Guangzhou, we teach listening skills according to David Clutterbuck, who distinguishes 5 levels of listening. And here, going by the book, corrective coaching, I think most common classification is 3 levels of listening. So first level is internal listening. Okay, and this is a very common type of listening that we all use in everyday life. When we listen to respond and we actually think our own thoughts. Okay, the purpose of this type of listening is to gather information so that we can come up with the best judgment of the situation. This is when we want to give advice, because we are using our critical thinking skills, our strength of judgment to form some opinions based on what we're hearing from our clients. If we are at level 1 in a coaching conversation. So the focus is on you and the voices in your head, although we may not be aware of those voices. So the second level of listening is called focus listening. I'm going to give a very brief overview here, and then we're going to look at each of the levels in a bit more detail. So focus listening is all about the client, and it's what's happening in the other person. What are they actually saying? What are they not saying? So the purpose of gathering information is for the client. We're focused on the other person. We're paying attention to their emotions. We're paying attention to their beliefs. And the third level of listening is called global listening. And one of the key skills at this level is intuition, when we use our intuition and all our senses to perceive the environment and the level of energy. Okay, it's not only about what's being said, but what's going on around us and within us. So it's listening with all of your senses. So we pay attention to everything, to temperature, noise, atmosphere, and so the purpose is to understand what the client is feeling and thinking, and how what information your senses provide as a response to what the client is saying. So the focus is on the energy in the session. I'm going to give a few examples now as we are going to look at this in more detail, and then we'll also have some Q&A time, and we can discuss this in more detail. At the first level, internal listening, your inner voice may say things like, well, I'm so happy he raised this topic, or I'm getting so worried about this topic, I have no idea what to ask next, I feel lost. We are thinking how they are assessing our coach, and especially new coaches sometimes get worried about, what do clients think about me? Am I being a good coach? Am I giving her what she wants to get from the session? Or sometimes if we are an expert in the topic, we just put on our expert hat and we want to give advice, or we start asking leading questions because we know the best answer. So we start making assumptions, and when we make assumptions, we start forming some questions in our head while listening. So it's quite easy to miss something important as we are thinking our own thoughts. So I intentionally put different examples here just to show that the questions or the inner voices that appear in our head when we are at level 1 do not just appear because we're not interested in the client, or because we're so self-centered. They appear because we may be worried about our performance, or we may think about the coaching process, or what we need to ask next, for example, or what coaching tool or intervention I want to use next, okay, rather than where the client wants to go next. Sometimes some coaches are not comfortable with silence, and they start thinking, all right, why is she quiet? All right, what am I not saying, or what am I saying? What's going on? What's wrong? Okay. So all sorts of conversations may go on in our head. Pablo, if you can keep your mic muted, that would be most helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. But it's important to become aware of these thoughts and distractions so that you can go to the next level and move to level 2. Do you guys have any other ideas what might keep us at level 1? If you've ever noticed yourself listening at level 1, what could be some of the reasons?
Distracted with personal issues.
Okay, good point.
Boredom.
All right. Yeah. Is there anything else?
Maybe rushing into the coaching session without keeping yourself, maybe lowering your own energy.
Right. Yeah, so basically it means that you have your own agenda, right? Maybe you have your own idea about what the ideal pace of the coaching session is, or how fast we should move with a client, or how slowly we should move with a client. So basically I worked with a new coach today, and I was in the role of a coachee when she kept asking me questions to push me forward while I was pondering. I really needed some silence to think about my issue, to go a little bit deeper, but she was feeling we are not moving fast enough, or maybe I'm not getting closer to the session result that I wanted, that I told her I wanted to achieve by the end of the session. So she kept asking me questions, and I told her I feel like I'm swimming against the tide. So it's like I want to have my own pace, and I'm feeling that with your questions, we are just moving away from the shore. That was my feeling from the session. So sometimes our intentions are quite good, but it doesn't help our coaching if we're not using active listening skills and if we're not partnering with a client. Let's take a look at level 2. And if you have any questions, please send them in the chat. So that when I finish this part, we can go back to the chat and see what else we need to address. So there are certain questions that you can use to reestablish your focus if you're noticing yourself getting distracted. On whose behalf am I listening? Do I have my own agenda? What's distracting me at the moment? How can I get centered again? What parallel process is happening for me? And questions like this. So it's very good practice when you have a habit of self-reflection. And in the new model of ICF competencies, reflective is part of the ICF core coaching competencies. So if you use a few minutes after each session to ask yourself a few questions about your level of presence, about having your own agenda and how it went and what you felt during the session, that can help you notice certain patterns that you can avoid in the future. Okay, focused listening is the level where we can spend most of our time during the coaching session. We listen intently to every word in the conversation. We ignore our inner dialogue, although we may be aware of it. We feel the flow of the conversation. We are partnering with a client. We interpret the words in the context of the other person, which means, again, we don't have our own agenda, and we follow the client. So we're not making assumptions about what's best for the client, but we keep partnering with them, so we do not misinterpret what they're saying. There are some useful questions that you can ask yourself to maintain focus. what is this person trying to say, or what they're trying not to say, as we are listening beyond what's being said. What's the logic of what's being said? What emotions, feelings, beliefs are involved here? What meaning is emerging for me for the speaker? And finally, level 3 listening requires some advanced, I'd say, coaching skills, or maybe the advanced listening skill. When we perceive the energy between you and the client, perceive the emotion, body language, gestures, tones, we're asking ourselves, so what's going on right now? What's happening for the client? What's changing for the client at the moment? Are they aware? Is this, what is my intuition telling me? What are all my senses telling me? And I know that intuition can reveal itself on different levels. Some of my colleagues, they say that they can suddenly smell something, or the music may play in their head, or they may have some imagery. It really depends on how how your intuition reveals itself in the conversation. And you can see that this is a more relaxed level.
要一个牛腩螺蛳粉，打包。
where you do not have your own agenda and you do not rush the client, but you're just inquire how you can help with your presence, how you can help the client think out loud in your presence, and how you can be their thinking partner so that you're helping, but you're not stopping them, you're not interfering, you're not leading them. Okay. So far, do you have any questions about the 3 levels of listening?
I just was wondering, could I see slide 2 again about the second one? Thank you. All right. Thanks.
All right.
Hey, Luba, I do have a question, especially on level 3. And quite frankly, I think level 3 is where a lot of us have a challenge, especially now when we're doing so much coaching online, where you can really just see the person, you can see the expressions. But are there any ways to really improve your global listening if you're coaching via Zoom?
Well, certainly. And honestly, I think it's really, based on my experience, it really depends on your perception of online coaching. I coach remotely most of the time, and I did since the very beginning because my goal was always a global practice.
Right.
Because this is one of my values, so I really didn't want to have this limitation. So I'm very used to coaching online, and even without a video. And I think that sometimes I've met different coaches. Some people find it a lot easier when they can see the other person, all right, because they feel there's more connection.
Right.
They can read body language, they can read the client's emotions. But on the other hand, I think what I've observed is that sometimes when all this visual information creates more noise and interference. So for example, if your client looks unhappy, you maybe new coaches can easily go back to level 1 listen and think, why is she unhappy? Did I make her unhappy with my question? Am I doing something wrong? So they start thinking about their own performance, not about the client's real emotions and what's underlying the emotions. I feel it's a really nice practice for new coaches to try coaching online without a video, so that they can focus on the voice. And I felt that it can be just as effective as see the person while coaching. I remember very clearly one of my earlier clients, maybe a couple of years ago. She was in the US, and I was here in China, and I coach her remotely over Zoom, but without a video. And I remember we discussed one of the topics that was quite important for her, and I felt so kind of overwhelmed. I started tearing, and she told me, I'm tearing now. And so we were so aligned at that very moment without even seeing each other. We could literally sense each other's emotions.
Right.
So I think this situation in particular made me believe that it doesn't really matter if you see a person or you do not. You can still have a great connection with someone you don't see, or who's far from you, and you just need to try it and see how it goes for you.
Yeah, thank you. That's very interesting because the opposite happens to me, right? So when I do coaching only through the phone, I find I go back to level one. And I'll tell you why. I say to myself, is this person multitasking? Are they doing something? And by the time I say to myself, are they multitasking? Oh shoot, I'm not listening, right? And I get caught into that, right? But when I'm watching them, I'm much more able to just flow. So that's
Right.
something I need to work on that.
But if you even try, I think you can really sense if they're doing something else.
Right.
Sometimes when you may maybe when you talk, it's not only about coaching. When you talk to someone over the phone and you suddenly want to ask them, are you still there? Are you listening?
Right.
All right, this happens to us, and this is not the coaching conversation, but you kind of sense that
Right.
there's no engagement and there's no connection, and you kind of you're wondering if the other person is even there. So coaching is quite similar. The more you practice, the better you can feel it, and the better you can keep your presence. But that's my personal experience.
Right.
And I think it's good to have different experiences just to see and what works for you and what your preferences are. But again, the world is changing, and a lot of people are moving online, so it's nice to be comfortable with
Okay, thank you
coaching
for answering that. I appreciate that. Thank
my
you.
personal perspective. Okay, so I'm going to show you this scheme. Center for Creative Leadership is a great organization that has leadership training. They have great coaching courses, and they have this nice diagram for us tonight. So I find that all this diagram is a great summary of all the active listening sub-skills represented in core coaching competencies. So basically, there are two aspects of listening. It's attention and impact. Are we actually paying attention to what we're hearing and what impact it creates for the client? We ask open-ended questions, we ask probing questions, we request clarification, and that's another way to build trust and to demonstrate active listening skills. We paraphrase, we respond to emotions and feelings we are noticing. We are sharing our observations. We are summarizing just to make sure we are on the same page. And this helps our clients to see that we are listening and we are there and we are paying attention. So this creates trust, this which is key to having successful coaching conversations. And if we compare this to core coaching competency, and that's a new model, oh no, that's an old one. Okay, I've highlighted some of the words to show you probably that, you know, active listening can easily be deconstructed, and it's done for us. If we take a look at core coaching competencies, basically the core coaching competencies provide a guide how to demonstrate active listening. So we keep the client's agenda in mind. We make sure we don't have our own agenda. We pay attention to what they're saying, what they're not saying, where they want to go, where they don't want to go. Summarize, paraphrase, mirror back. We explore with them, and we respond to their feelings, perceptions, concern, beliefs, and suggestions. We use their ideas. We bottom line if we notice that the client, you know, is going in circles, for example, or if they start a conversation which is not helpful, if they provide excessive examples, if what they're saying is not helping them to move forward, if they deviate from the topic, we can always recontract with them. Okay, and active listening also involves helping the client to vent or clear. It's when they need to release their emotions and they need a minute or two just to let go, to tell you what they're so unhappy with, so that they can continue coaching. So basically responding to what the client is saying at different levels makes up active listening competency. Okay.
And Luba, we have a question. We have a question in the chat room. Can you
go ahead? It's quite.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat as it's
I'll get
difficult
it for you.
to have everything.
No problem. I'll get it for you. Yeah, the question is, can you clarify what bottom lines mean again?
Absolutely. Bottom lining is a technique which basically it's getting the client back to the agenda. So, for example, if they want to provide you with lots of examples, okay, so say, all right, let me tell you what happened yesterday, and you know, I came in and my boss did this and I did this and he said this and da 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 da. So when the client gets into a story, or you know, we sometimes say a client goes on a picnic, they start going in circles. So whatever they're saying is not helping them to make progress or to move forward. Okay, what they're saying is not helping them, or maybe they are just being emotional. Maybe it's a therapy issue. Maybe they're bringing up a different issue. They're changing their agenda. So as coaches, we need to guard the agenda. Okay, and we have in mind what the client said they wanted to achieve in this particular session, because we've established a coaching agreement for the session. So we keep this agreement in mind, and whenever the client starts going on a picnic and they want something else, it's not coaching, we gently bring them back to the topic. Okay, and so that we do not sound rude or unsupportive, I usually address this in our intake session. I said, you know, sometimes clients feel the need to provide a lot of examples, or you know, tell me what happened, or express their feelings, but sometimes it's not helpful. It's not helping them to move forward, so they're getting stuck further and further. In such situations, if I notice this behavior, I may bring you back. I may ask you, you know, well, how do you want me to bring you back to the coaching agreement or to the agenda for the session? Well, basically, in other words, that would mean interrupting a client.
Right.
The clients, you know, this I don't know what to call it. So it's like the client jumps on a train and leaves.
They're going on and
All
on
right.
and on and on and on and on.
All right. They're going on and on and on, but it's not helping them.
Right.
They're not moving forward. So if it's not helping them, we are responsible for what we do in the session. It's basically we are wasting their time and their money if we let them do this. So our job is to get them back, to help them get back to the agenda.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else? Any other questions
No other
in
questions.
the chat? Okay. Lovely. All right. So we'd like to do a short demo and then have another short probably Q&A session just to see if you have any questions or responses or feedback. So if anyone has a very short issue they'd like to work on, I'm very happy to partner with you and let everyone observe active listening in action.
So you're looking for a volunteer right now, correct?
I am looking for a volunteer. That's correct.
Okay, I'll volunteer.
All right. Thank you so much for volunteering.
My pleasure.
All right. I'm going to stop the screen sharing at the moment.
Okay.
Okay. And probably as for those who observe the session, I'd like you just to take some notes, what you are noticing about the session, what you are noticing about the client, what you're noticing about active listening in the session. Okay, and please keep in mind that this is a kind of an, a demo set. The purpose of this demo session is more of an educational session, so it may not look as natural as coaching usually happens with real clients. Okay, because we have our own agenda here to demonstrate active listening skills, but whatever we can do within 15 minutes, we'll try to do our best.
Okay, so we have 15 minutes then. Okay.
Yes, we can have 15 to probably 17 minutes. Okay, and after that, we are going to break you up into breakout rooms to let you have one coaching session in small groups of 3 or 4 and train out some active listening skills. Okay, Colin, are you ready?
Yes.
Do I have your permission to coach you?
Absolutely. Let me just get that mosquito. Yes, you do.
Great. What would you like to get coached on today?
So 2020 is going to be a very big year for me. It is a big year for me. And I have what I call a life-changing goal that takes place in September of this year, September 19th. And I know what I need to do to prepare for that goal. However, there's one part of it that has been a mental block with me for years. And I understand that if I'm able to get past this, I will more likely crush my goal. And every year I say the same thing, but every year I don't do what I need to do.
All right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, in our session today, you'd like to address a mental block that you notice when it comes to one of your biggest goals for this year. Am I hearing this correctly?
Okay, no. Well, yeah, you heard it correctly, but I want to change it. What I like to do is I'd like to be more confident. I'd like to feel more confident that I will do what I need to accomplish this goal.
All right. So basically what you are saying is that by the end of our short 15-minute session, you'd like to feel more confident in achieving the big goal that you have. Is
Yes.
this right?
That is correct.
All right. Well, I'm curious how, we are going to measure the level of your confidence by the end of the session.
I don't know.
All right. So what would you say your, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you?
As far as me doing what I need to do for that goal, I'm at a, whew, it's low. I'm at a 5. And what that means is I have to do it, but I may not do it like I should do it. So I'm at a 5.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you are making some progress, but you're not quite happy with your progress at this stage. How does this resonate?
Well, I haven't started yet. And the thing is, I'll tell you what it is, right? So I'm doing an Ironman, a full Ironman in September of this year, my first one. I've done half Ironmans, and there's 3 events: running, biking, and swimming. I just have this thing where I just don't enjoy training in a pool, swimming. I don't enjoy it. So with biking and running, I can do it and enjoy it. But swimming, it takes all of my energy just to go to the pool. In the water, I'm fine, but right. But so I know that I have to do a lot of swimming to be able to really have a good performance. And every year, I just don't do what it takes. And I'm tired of being the last person out of the water, quite frankly. I need to do better.
All right. I'm sensing that I'm sensing some heaviness in your voice as you're saying this. What do you think?
Absolutely. This has been a couple things. This has been a burden for me for years, but I also know that once I tackle this, I'll be awesome. But right now, I just don't know how to do it.
Okay. So based on what you just said about this goal, what would it be possible for us to achieve within 15 minutes, you think?
I mean, just tell me stop being a punk and just tell me go do it. Right? I don't know. I don't know. But just tell me to suck it up and go. I don't know. I don't know what's possible.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you are looking for, you know, for a motivation or for a phrase that could motivate you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that won't work. I've tried that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing. I really don't know what to do. And so go back to your question: what can we accomplish in 15 minutes? Maybe make me feel very, very guilty and bad to the point where I just have to go out and do it. I really have no idea.
Okay. Well, sounds like this is so big for you. Sounds like it's quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I feel it's a little bit difficult for you to break it down. How does this sound?
Yes.
Okay, where we could possibly start tonight so that this 15 minutes could give you most value?
Just trying to understand what the issue is. I'm not scared of water. I'm not scared of water whatsoever. I've been running for years, and I know there's a part where when you can run and daydream, then you got it, right? So when I'm swimming, sometimes I daydream, but sometimes it's just like I'm doing burpees. I just hate it. So I don't know. Maybe trying to understand what it is that's making me not enjoy it.
All right. So if I've heard you correctly just now, you during our session or by the end of our session, you'd like to get a little bit more clarity about what about why you don't enjoy swimming. Does this sound right?
Yes, but I'm sorry. I don't not enjoy it. I just I don't. It doesn't bother me. I just don't get the same feeling that I get from doing other sports from it.
Okay, and could you name that feeling?
When I finish, running, biking, push-ups, lifting weights, I feel energized. When I'm swimming, I think it's because when I swim, just so many people swim faster than me in water. I feel like I'm doing a lot of hours in, but I'm not improving. Maybe I'm even getting slower, and it's frustrating. So when I swim, I have a feeling of frustration while I'm swimming, which is not good.
All right. So basically, going back to the topic for the session, sounds like by the end of our conversation, you'd like to get a little bit more clarity why you feel, or what causes frustration when you practice swimming. How does this sound?
Yes.
Okay. So, in order to understand these, where does our attention need to go first?
I don't know.
Could you tell me a little bit more about this frustration, perhaps?
Yeah, look, I've been an athlete all my life, and I'm a good athlete. But then I get into the water or do certain sports, and people who people, I don't know. Let me just say, non-athletes just kick my butt in the water, and it's very frustrating. Maybe it's an ego thing, right? But the more I put years into this, and if you saw me swim, you'd think I just got in the water for the first time yesterday. So I think that's where the frustration comes from: the lack of the lack of improvement over time, and the I wouldn't say embarrassment, but the after the race is over and people share their times, I'm not embarrassed because I did the race, but when I share my swim time, I'm like, ugh, So that's where the embarrassment comes from.
Okay. Sounds like you have quite high expectations of yourself. What would you say?
Not in swimming, and that's the whole problem because I literally have been the last person out of the water in several races. Okay, so I think I just don't understand how I could be adequate or good in certain sports or certain aspects, and just be not good in this one. I mean, yeah, it's very frustrating.
Okay. Well, um, when we started our conversation, you said you wanted to get a little bit more clarity about what makes you feel frustrated.
Right.
But based on you just said about your numbers and your progress and all the hours you put in, I'm getting a sense that you do actually know what causes the frustration, and the real issue is a little bit deeper. What would you say?
What is it? The real issue?
What is the real issue, you
Yeah.
think?
Oh, no. To me, the issue is I just don't see improvement, and it's embarrassing because it's I don't see improvement, and so when I'm swimming, and I like being in the water, I enjoy it, um, but I'm not seeing improvement, and it doesn't make sense because everything else, the more you do it, you improve, right? Your body gets used to it, your muscle gets trained, but I'm not seeing any improvement, and so what happens is it makes me not want to work as hard, made me not want to keep at it.
Okay. Well, I'm curious. When you say improvement, what exactly are some signs of improvement that you're looking for?
Oh, number one, clock. That's the best test of improvement. That's the best sign of improvement. A clock.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, it's a clock.
All right. Well, I'm curious if there could be any other aspects where you could actually be improving but not notice it.
I can't think of any because again, it comes down to time and distance. How long it takes to cover a certain distance, and where the technique is improving. If your technique is improving, your time should improve. If your capacity to hold your breath and swim improve, you should improve, right? So it comes right back down to the clock.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Colin, when we started, you said you wanted to get a little bit more clarity about why swimming makes you so frustrated. Are we going in the right direction at the moment?
I don't know, but I feel myself getting getting a little worked up over here, to tell you the truth, because it's this is a real issue, right? This is real. I don't think it's not the clock that frustrates me again, right? It's the lack of improvement. And then, lack of improvement and ego. I'll say it. Seeing folks who should not be able to hold a stick to me just kick my ass. It is embarrassing.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you are used to winning, or used to getting the very result-oriented person. What do you think?
I'm used to at least being in the fight. I'm used to at least competing. Swimming is the first event. So if you do not do good in the swim, you can't even compete with people. So that it really just throws off my whole race.
Okay. I'm curious if there's a way to keep practice and improving, but shift your mental focus.
I'm sure there is. Don't know how to do it, but I'm sure there is. I hope there is.
Okay, so if you knew the answer, what would that be?
It'd be wonderful. It'd be great.
And what would be the answer if you knew it?
If my clock time was better, I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Well, I'm curious who would have the answer.
I mean, obviously, I have the answer somewhere. I got to clean my closet out to find it. It's not here right now, right? It's somewhere in there. Hopefully, through coaching, I can find it.
Okay. What would be the first question to explore if you decided to find the answer through coaching?
Why am I not improving? That's the first question.
Okay. How do you want to approach this question?
And look, I had a swimming coach, and quite frankly, after spending my money and time with him, I got worse. Okay, so I don't, I really don't know how to answer this question except just get in the water and train longer, put more hours in, and again, naturally, if I increase the frequency, then I should improve, right? I should improve. My technique should, I don't know. Hopefully somebody's watching me swim and says, hey, do this, give me some tips. I don't know. But I think I have to, right now, the answer is just put more time in the pool.
Yeah, Colin, I'm, based on the energy in our conversation, I sense that you already asked yourself quite a few questions about this situation. And I'm curious, what question haven't you asked yourself yet?
Well, the question I haven't asked myself and I will not ask myself is, do I want to quit? Right? So that's the question I haven't asked myself. I think I've tried to break this down by why I've become a scientist as to why I'm not going faster. So I don't know what question I haven't asked yet.
Okay. So as we are discussing your progress with swimming, what are you learning about your situation?
I'm learning that it's been here for a long time, and it has to. Yeah, it has to. Look, I will find a way out by the time my race comes. Right? It's been here for a long time, and even where I am a slow swimmer, if I go back 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was even worse. So there was some improvement, but when you're don't know anything about swimming and you improve pretty fast and hit a certain point. I haven't gotten beyond that point, so I think that. I lost the question. I lost my thoughts. Sorry.
Okay, where do you want to go?
I'm just. I don't know. I just would like. Let me calm down. I would just like to figure this out because doing an Ironman, a full Ironman, has been one of my life goals for years. Being that, and I've signed up for it after putting it off for years. I'm 40. I'll be 47 by the time I do it. I want to. I don't want to just limp across the line. I want to run across the line proud, and I want to. So for me, this is a at least a 20-year dream I've had. And I've achieved a lot of my dreams. And this is the one that I talk about every year. I've been wanting an Ironman tattoo for 20 years. Okay, I already know where it's going to go. So for me to do it, there's two ways to do it. There's to do it and just limp across the finish line, or there's doing it strong. And I want to do it strong, and I have to get this swimming down. So I know that. So I have to figure out this challenge, and I don't know how to do that. So it is frustrating me, but I know I'll do it. I hope I'll do it. I think I'll do it. I have to have that attitude. But I had an attitude all the time and it doesn't get done. But I have to try to figure it out this time because this is the full race. This is the real deal.
Okay, now as you talked about your this goal and how important it is, I've noticed that you slowed down and your tone changed. What was that about?
I felt myself getting, getting. I'm an energy guy, right? I felt myself. I want to just calm, be rational, and not let the frustration overtake my chi, right? My shu, right? I want to be calm and rational.
Okay, I can truly sense some calmness in your voice as you're saying this. How do you feel?
I feel like I want to have a drink when I'm done because this has been it's just sometimes I try to think about it because it really just it really just sometimes takes over my thoughts and I get very frustrated. And you see me wringing my hands here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious, what would be the tiny teeny action you could do to practice with with calm.
With calm, as it relates to swimming or just in general,
Yeah,
in my life in
as
general.
it relates to swimming.
Swimming. This is a long 15 minutes. Let me just say that, okay? As it relates to swimming, when I get into the water, right, I'm calm. But it's the getting up, packing my bag, going to the pool that's agonizing. And I say agonizing. That's what I mean. When I get into the water, I'm fine. But it's just yeah. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm curious if you could put what kind of reminder you could create for yourself that could support you.
To go swim.
To change your attitude from frustration to calmness.
Well, I've already visualized. This may sound a little, I've already visualized myself finishing the race, right? So there's no doubt I'm going to finish it. So now it's more about finishing it with a good time. And because I already know I will finish, I'm not as what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word. Um, um, yeah, I'm not as worried, so to speak. So to be calm, um, quite frankly, I think I'll be calmer when I see progress. I think when I see progress on that clock, I think that's both. You know what? You're getting faster. You're doing something good. Whew, I can relax now because I know it's working. So I don't know what to do until I find that, achieve that.
Okay. So what would you like to try next time you go to practice swimming?
This time, what else will I try? I think at this point, it's just going to be repetition. I've watched enough videos. I've, sat on a thing in my floor trying to, I've at this point, just repetition, just keep, just train, not overtrain, but it's train. That's it. Get in the pool more, live in the water.
Okay. Colin, for the purpose of this webinar, I'd like to suggest ask you how you feel if we finish here.
Feel fine.
Thank you so much. Well, definitely a real coach session would probably not look like this. And going back to the competencies, I think that would be quite good to, if we could give Colin an opportunity to vent or clear, so that we can achieve this calmness a little bit earlier in the session, as he was quite, as it was such a big topic and he was so engaged, and that sometimes make it hard to move forward actively or to slow down and think. Okay, so venting or clearing would be quite helpful here. Well, do you have any comments on active listening? What have you observed? We go back to this.
If I can add something, I think a great job of paraphrasing and verifying if what you heard was what I said. I think you allowed me the opportunity to further clarify.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a good point, because oftentimes clients come to a coaching session overwhelmed, and they know what's bothering them, but they don't know how to phrase it. And this active skill of paraphrasing, it helps. Even if you don't get it right, the client will know it's not right, it doesn't resonate, so they tell you, no, it's not really this, it should be something else. And it's really important to be open and be okay with it and accept what the client is saying. So, right, if I'm not getting this right, so what's right? Tell me more, because this also helps the client to get more clarity. Okay, anything else that you've noticed?
Are you asking me or everybody?
Not everybody. It would be great to get
Okay.
other observers' comments too.
For me, hello everybody. Hello, Luba. Thank you for everything so far. I really enjoy. For me, it was very interesting how he mentioned his goal and everything, and you never ask him what is it. And for me, it was super. It was some kind of realization, because you're addressing what he's saying, his words. You're not going fast forward, like you're not dictating the pace. You're letting him say it when he wants to say it. So for me, it was very, very nice opportunity to see how you're listening actually what he's saying, and not going with your thoughts. Oh, what that could be, what is his goal, what he wants to tell me about. Which, in my opinion, means as a new coach, I would honestly second question would be like, oh, so what is it about, and go with clarification. So it was very, very interesting for me to
Thank you, Sasha.
hear
I think in a real coaching session with a real client, you may actually have an idea, or you have a level of trust that enough for your client to share. But so in a real coaching session, you'd probably know what the goal is, or you'd probably ask the client what the goal is. But it, Khan is not my client, and there's no, kind of, we didn't have this kind of connection, trust before the session. And then there are quite a few people on the call, and the degree, so I let him choose the degree of self-disclosure he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
Right, as this is a public call. So probably in a real coaching session, that would be quite different. But generally, thank you for your comment, because really you don't have to ask questions for yourself, as your client knows what the goal is. All right, and if you're asking questions to, okay, tell me about your job, or tell me about your goal, what is this exactly you want to do, you're asking for yourself to get more clarity yourself, but not help client get more clarity.
Definitely, thank you.
Okay, guess we can welcome one more comment before we work in our breakout rooms.
Good job, Luba.
Me, what a sec. Me, okay.
Go ahead.
It was a great session. It didn't look fake at all. It was a real session for me, even though quite short, but still it worked well. I could see real emotions calling from your side as well, so it wasn't fake at all. And me working as a coach as well for 6 years in Shanghai, I've seen you, Luba, applying all the 7 key skills. What I found especially the highlight now was number 6, like be attuned to and reflect feelings in the way like Alexander just mentioned. In the beginning, you didn't need to clarify what is the goal. You stayed void, you stayed empty, like with your own thoughts in your mind. You were so much attuning to him, relating to him, connecting to him. So it didn't matter what goal he had, like in the beginning, but further on, calling you revealed your goal, of course. This was very, it was awesome. I liked your style of course, further on asking all the questions, open-ended questions mainly, but the beginning was very impressive to me. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm great. There were some helpful and useful, valuable learning moments. Yeah, so we may have to change our plan somehow, as we plan to put you into breakout rooms, but then I'm not sure if we have enough time to provide sufficient time for you to coach in your breakout rooms. So I'm going to partner with you as a coach and ask you, so what would you find most valuable for us to do next? Would you like to to continue Q&A? Would you still like to try at least to do a short coaching session in breakout rooms? Would you like to discuss your insights or pearls from this session in mini groups to connect with each other? What would you like to do next? Just let us know.
And we have about 10 minutes for whatever we do next.
Could you just tell us some ways that maybe the first session, some things you've noticed maybe in the past, that if there's any complications, or like the first time you meet a client, generally how you would approach that? Do you start right away into a session, or do you already met them and know some things about them, or how does that kind of work?
Okay, so basically it's quite common for coaches to offer a free discovery session. It could be a 30-minute call or a 15-minute call, or it really depends on how you structure a coaching practice. It's not a real coaching session, but it's more of a chemistry session where you get to know the client, so basically there are a few questions that you need to discuss in the discovery call: what they want coaching on, whether they really need coaching, or maybe they need therapy, maybe they need training, maybe they need some other kind of help. So you see if they're the right coaching client, if you have a good connection, if you feel comfortable, talking to them, if they feel comfortable with you, And then you'll have you can talk about their goals for coaching, what they want to bring into coaching, so you can already know what they're coming with. And the first session is usually an intake session where you kind of map up the strategy for them, what they want to achieve over the course of the coaching agreement, where they want to be, what needs to change for them, or how they need to change. All right. So and then there may be some coaching in this very first intake session, but there may not be a lot of coaching. It's not coaching from the beginning to the end, as there's, some admin stuff you need to address, the logistics of the sessions, etc., the general strategy, their preferred style of coaching, and then you could do a general intervention, maybe a wheel of life balance or something along these lines, just to see what are some of the areas that they need to address in their coaching work with you, or some areas, where they may find value from coaching. And then starting from the second session, you normally have real coaching sessions where you start with a coaching agreement for the session, and then you help the client achieve the goal for the session based on their agenda for the session, based on the measure of success that they establish for that session. Okay, so there's the coaching relationship is a structured relationship. There's a lot of freedom in coaching. There's a lot of creativity. It's a creative process, but at the same time, it's a structured process, because coaching leads to some specific results. It's not just having a chat with someone, right, or just talking.
Luba,
Yes, James.
yeah, as you were going through the demo with Colin, tell us a little bit about when you felt you were at level 2 and level 3 listening.
Okay, so at level 2 listening, when I really tried to think, I really tried to understand what's that behind the words. So when I made some observations about, okay, so you looks like you're a result-oriented person. Okay, so what is the question you didn't ask yourself? So when I made some observations, or shared my intuitions, or shared my feelings, so I'm sensing, I really sense you calm down as you slow down. So what was that about? So what changed for you? So these are the times in this coaching session when I could show level 2, level 3 listening, to connect with the energy in the session, to connect with his emotions, or some of my comments when I said, okay, I can sense there's a lot going on for you. I sense there's a big topic, and I could sense it from his pace, from the level of energy, of how fast he spoke. Or when I said, all right, so based on, on the energy of our conversation and how fast you are responding, I'm getting a feeling that you've already asked yourself some of these questions before. So what is the question you did not ask yourself? Okay, so basically when you make some observations and you're not just responding to words, or you're not thinking, oh my God, he asked himself all these questions, we are not making progress, and I don't know what he wants to, it sounds like he's changing the topic. These are all level 1 thoughts. And if you just listen to these voices in your head, that will get you really distracted from the client. But if you can stay curious and attune to the client, you get more comfortable with this uncertainty, and you are just being a mirror for the client, just sensing their emotions, their energy, their beliefs. Like, Colin is such a great athlete. He's been an athlete all his life, and now he's comparing himself with other athletes who may be less experienced, and he doesn't feel he's doing so well. Okay, so all these beliefs and assumptions that Colin has about himself, it could be useful to explore. So you use your active listening to explore those beliefs, what he's thinking about himself, how he's perceiving his performance, what it means to him. Okay, so these are these are basically all level 2, level 3 listening skills. And I'm sorry if I'm not providing very clear examples. It's quite hard to coach and self-reflect at the same time.
I realize it is very difficult. So I was just curious. And one of the things I noticed that, at the beginning, Colin, it seemed like you were, this may have been a real coaching topic for you. It seemed like you were looking for clarification of what the topic was. And I find this to be true as different people try and, in a demo setting, what am I really looking for here to be coach? So Luba, I thought you did a nice job of moving from, what is he really saying? Your inner thinking, level 1 to level 2 and level 3, as you went through the demonstration and the listening. So I thought you progressed very well through the different levels.
Thank you.
I could see a person getting stuck at level 1. Is he really wanting coaching, or is this just this topic that he's bringing up for the in this demo?
Right. So again, being at level 2, when I ask him, are we getting in the right direction? Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Okay, instead of making assumptions, it looks like we are not making progress here, and it's a demo in front of like 20 strangers. And
yeah. And James, let me add, anytime I get 5 minutes with a coach, I always bring up something that's real, right? I want to get that free coaching, not free coaching, but I want to get that reduced price coaching. So I always take advantage of time when a coach offers it. So yeah.
In this particular situation, because our purpose was to get you to pay attention to active listening, so I was basically fine with any topic. We had to establish measures of success to move forward, and so that's why this establishing the coaching agreement for the session took a little bit longer, as we didn't talk before the demo. I didn't know what he really wanted to do in the session, and but I thought that although we keep discussing the coaching agreement, it still gives me an opportunity to use active listening skills, and gives you an opportunity to observe active listening skills. So for the purpose of this session, it was okay to spend more time exploring the agenda.
Yeah, and guys, we have to move on. We have about 7 minutes left. So Luba, before we leave, anything to wrap up really quick? We got about 2 minutes.
Yes, I have a slide I'd like to show you, to give you some general tips on active listening. Okay, so be relaxed and attentive. It's really important to be relaxed, really, to be comfortable with not knowing the answer, to be comfortable with silence. Avoid judgment. So do not, make assumptions, but if you want to share an observation, do share it. It's part of coaching competencies. Be patient, give the other person enough time if they need time. Don't compete for airtime. So as basic as it may sound, coaches need to listen most of the time. Recognize emotion, treat each other as equal peers. And here it's more about trust your client that they can find a solution, and don't feel tempted to be an expert or to provide your own solution. Trust them, they can find a solution, and just help them think out loud and they'll get them. Use difference as a positive factor, and this is about the different personalities of a coach and coachee. Set your personal agenda inside and be curious. Okay, I'd also be happy to connect with you if you'd like to discuss active listening or any other coaching competence in more detail. So I include my QR code. Yeah, and I also mentioned that we do some coach training programs that are ICF accredited. If you need any information about those, or you know someone who's looking for training, I'd be happy to tell them more about it. Okay. And Colin, if there's anything else we need to do before we wrap up, just let me know. You're muted, I'm afraid.
Thank you. Okay. So first, I'm going to unmute everybody so we can just give Luba a round of applause, please. Okay.
Thank you for engaging and sharing your comments and observations. That was great.
Okay. I'm going to mute everybody again. And guys, I lost my mouse here. Okay. I'm not sure if this mute all worked, but I want to spend, Luba, I want to thank you again. I put out the request and you answered the call. What I mean is I asked you to step in and you did that. So thank you very much. And this was a very great lesson. I know I learned a lot. Thank you much. And now I got a little lesson out of it too, so thank you. Guys, we are going to probably run over about 2 minutes, so bear with me. I want to share with you some activities that we're doing here. I got echo here, so let me take a moment to mute everybody. 1 second here. Okay, 1 second. Okay. And I think we're all good to go now. So, as you know, being here in Shanghai, in China, over the past 3 months, there is this thing out there called the COVID coronavirus that all of you are quite aware of now. While a lot of us coaches here in Shanghai were going through this, a lot of our friends reached out to us for support during that time. Now, we are not counselors, but we do listen very well. We do, and a lot of times we found that our friends just really needed somebody to listen to during this time. And we were able to really help people to make it through that time here in China. Now, one thing that we learned over the past two and a half months is that we now have experience of surviving the outbreak here in China. With that, myself and some other coaches, several coaches who are in the Shanghai Life Coaching Collective, and other coaches here in China, some in South America, and some in the U.S., we got together and we decided that we want to provide tips and support for people globally who are going through the outbreak. As you guys know, the outbreak in China is very different from the outbreak going on globally. And the main difference for a lot of us is for those of us who remain in China, we may or may not have known somebody who's actually sick, whereas in the U.S., a lot of our family members are sick. A lot of people we know are sick. So it's much more personal now for a lot of us. And again, with that, we decided to go ahead and start making some videos, giving tips on how people can make it through this time, not just make it through this time, but thrive through this time. So it's very interesting. Last week, I posted a video and had a webinar on Facebook. And I was contacted by Silver Spring Connect, which is a group out of Silver Spring, Maryland, and they asked us to do a number of daily set of videos. So every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., which is 10 p.m. here, we do a recorded live stream video. Each day now, I record probably 1 or 2 videos with a coach, and then that video airs our PM time. Now, again, what we're doing is providing tips on how folks can thrive through this time. And look at 2 things. We know that the doctors, the other medical workers, the policemen, the restaurant workers, the grocery shop workers, the delivery people, they are out there on the front line. They're interacting with people. They're putting their health at risk. But we have to also look at what are we doing to help the people who are inside. So, and as you may know, a lot of the challenge that people are having during this time is being on that home lockdown and being in that house with their family and not able to go outside and do things like that. So again, so we're providing tips on how to really make the best of that time. And the ask, right? I'm going to give you an ask. So first of all, we do this on Facebook every day. I also post the videos on my website, and I'll give you guys a link for that later. But here's the ask, okay? We need more coaches for our next initiative. So as far as coaches who we have providing videos, and we do a interview type video where I'm asking questions and they're giving feedback. If you have a topic related to how to cope through this virus outbreak that you want to share, please contact me. Okay, you should have my email address already, actually, on my WeChat. Please contact me. Let me know what your idea is, and if it sounds good, let's get a video. These videos are really, really helping people, getting a lot of good feedback. Now, here's the real ask, and this I'm asking for everybody on this call, whether you're an experienced coach or brand new coach. If you've been through 1 month of any program, you've learned something. And let's be honest with you, right now, the people don't need coaches. They need somebody to listen to and guide them, give them some reassurance. I'm trying to put together the next level or the next initiative, which I call 40 for 40. What that means is I want to get 40 life coaches. When I say life coaches, executive coaches, business coaches, it doesn't matter. 40 coaches who will contribute 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. 1 hour a week for 4 weeks for coaching. I want to create a calendar, and whatever time in your country, just put your time available. And if somebody wants to select that time slot, boom, you have somebody to support for an hour. I want to be clear though, this is not a complimentary coaching call. At the end, this is not about selling coaching. This is about supporting and being there for people who need support. So if you're interested in either potentially making a video and having that go online, or if you're interested and you can contribute 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. And let me tell you, all of you can. Okay, I know you're busy, but all of you can do this. But if you're interested in doing that, please contact me, and I'll talk about how to put that into play. The 40 for 40, we're trying to start next Monday, so being very proactive. Right now, people are going through a very, very rough patch, and we want to give them all the support that we can. Okay, any questions on either of these initiatives, the videos or the 40 for 40? Any questions? Okay, no questions. So, guys, again, I want to say this. All of you have 1 hour, okay? Okay, now, simple how to contact us. You see the website here for our Shanghai Life Coaching Collective. We have it's actually started as a meetup group, so we have a meetup page. We also have our member directory online. So if you become a member, which is very easy to do, you can have your information online as well. And finally, all our recordings are put back online as well. I'm not sure if this QR code is still going to be valid, but you can reach out to me. Reach out to me via WeChat. I am Coach Colin T, via WeChat, and we'll get you connected to the Shanghai Life Coaching Collective. Or if you have any questions, please let me know. I do want to look at my time here. It's 3 minutes over. I want to say thank you guys for closing. Before we close, does anybody have any comments?
Tried the QR code. It's expired.
Expired?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you need to write your in the chat to everyone, your ID.
Yes. Does everybody here have?
Isaac and Denise, I can add you.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me. Does everybody here have WeChat? Okay.
I have QQ.
QQ.
Just kidding.
Let me put my name in here for everyone. I am Coach. Well, I am on WeChat, Coach Colin T. Okay, great. Coach Colin T. And I got to say, it's great to see some new faces. Hope to see these faces again. And Luba, again, thank you for bringing us through to a wonderful, wonderful webinar. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, everyone. It's a real pleasure.
All right, so Xavier and Dean, please stay on the line. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Watch out,
Thank you,
Hal.
Thank you,
Luba.
Luba. Bye
Thank you
bye.
for your time.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Colin. Thank you, Luba.
Thank you.